In this screencast, I will show you how to synchronize a transcription of a YouTube video in Readlang. The video I've chosen to transcribe is called Feynman and Reading, which I chose for this example because it's short, being only 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's in English, so I'm quite likely to get it correct. And it's about Richard Feynman, who I just love. He's an amazing physicist and teacher. So the first thing I will do is open a Readlang tab. I'm logged in, as you can see, and I'm going to add a text. Now, I've already prepared a transcription of the video in question. So it's this. I'll select it, right-click copy, and then click in this box and right-click and paste. Check that the language is correct. I'm uploading an English article. The author is Richard P. Feynman, and the category is non-fiction. I'll leave public unchecked for now until I do the synchronization. Let's upload the text and open the document. Now, the next thing I need to do is to actually get the YouTube video in the document. So I'll open the sidebar, go to the YouTube tab, and then it's asking me to paste the YouTube video URL here. Now I'll fetch the YouTube video URL by clicking on the YouTube tab, then selecting the text in the address bar, right-clicking and clicking copy, going back to Readlang, clicking here, right-clicking and clicking paste, and add YouTube video. Now you can see that video starting to play here. I'll just pause it for now and explain about the 3 different modes that you will see. We're currently in translate mode, which is the usual mode you'll be used to in Readlang, which is allows you to click on a word and get it translated to another language. So at the moment, my languages are set up in the sidebar here as English to Spanish, which would be appropriate for a Spanish person trying to learn English. The other modes are sync and play, and these are what we're going to use now in this video to synchronize it. So let's go to sync mode and I'll show you how that works. Right, I'm going to play the video, and when...
The Encyclopedia Britannica at home.
Okay, so he started talking there. And what I need to do in this sync mode is that at the moment that Mr. Feynman says a word, I need to click on that exact word to set a synchronization point. So let's rewind it a bit. And to make it a bit easier, what I can do is to go to settings and set the speed to half speed. But for the purposes of this video, I'll just leave it on normal speed, and the accuracy is probably going to be decent enough. So let me continue with the syncing.
We had the Encyclopedia Britannica at home. And even when I was a small boy, he used to sit me on his lap and read to me from the Encyclopedia Britannica. And we would read, say, about dinosaurs. And maybe it would be talking about the Brontosaurus or something. And it would say something like, or the Tyrannosaurus Rex. It would say something like, this thing is...
Okay. Now, I may have made a mistake somewhere. I think I've done pretty well so far. But in order to jump back to check that what I've done is correct, I can go into play mode and click on any word and it'll start playing from that point. Let me show you.
We had the Encyclopedia Britannica at home. And even when I was a small boy, he used to sit me on his lap.
Another thing I can do is to use the space bar to start and stop to make it a bit easier than having to reach up here to with the mouse to the play button. I can just use space to start and stop, so I can
And read to me from the Encyclopedia Britannica. And we would read, say, about dinosaurs.
Okay, and space to stop. Other shortcuts that are useful, keyboard shortcuts, are R to go into play mode and E to go into sync mode. So I can use E, and by the way, W will get me to translate mode. So at the moment, the focus seems to be on the YouTube video, so I'll just give a click here to give the focus back to the Readlang page, and then I will be able to press E on the keyboard to go to sync, W to go to translate, or R to go to play. I can actually just put the keyboard, my keyboard presses on the screen to show you. There you go. And I'll continue using these to synchronize the rest of the video now. So into play mode, and I'll start from here.
They would say something like, this thing is 25 feet high, and the head is 6 feet across. And so he'd stop always and say, let's see what that means. 6 feet across. And so he'd stop always and say, let's see what that means.
Now I notice, I missed, when I was transcribing, I missed out a word here. He actually says, so he'd stop always. So let me open the sidebar and go to the Edit tab, find the location, and so he'd stop always, and say. And then I need to click Save for it to update on the left. And you'll notice it says, you may need to resync the text with the audio. Now the reason for that is that everything after this always, all the words have now jumped across by 1. If I did inserted, say, 10 words here, then all my sync points would now be off by 10 words. So I need to make sure that I resynchronize everything from after this point. So let me just continue from this point. I'll press play from here.
And so he'd stop always and say, let's see what that means. That would mean that if he stood enough, so he'd stop always and say, let's see what that means. That would mean that if he stood in our front yard, he would be high enough to put his head through the window. But not quite, because the head is all a little bit too wide and would break the window as it came by. That everything we'd read would be translated as best we could into some reality, so that I learned to do that. And everything I...
Let me just give you another example of what happens if you make a mistake. Now say I click in the wrong place. So let me start playing, and I'll click down here and make an incorrect sync point.
I tried to figure out...
Okay, so that is incorrect. But all I have to do is to use the play mode to go to start the audio from behind that point, from before that point, and make another sync point in the correct place, and everything will work out. So let me click here.
So that I learned to do that. And everything I read, I tried to figure out what it really means.
Now, I made a new sync point on figure, and it deleted the old sync point that I put down here. So everything's fixed. So it's not a problem if you make a mistake. It's very easy to correct it in that way. Let me continue.
And everything I read, I tried to figure out what it really means, what it's really saying by translating. And so I used to read the encyclopedia when I was a boy, but with translation. It was the encyclopedia when I was a boy, but with translation. It was very exciting and interesting to think that there was animals of such magnitude. I wasn't frightened that there would be one coming in my window as a consequence of this, I don't think. But I thought it was very, very interesting that they all died out, and at that time nobody knew why.
Okay, and now we're done. The last thing I will do is click on the Share tab and click this little checkbox to make it public. Now I can tweet if I like, or share the link. I think I'll do that a bit later, but let me jump back to the library and show you that this is within my library of texts, my personal one, my private one, but also within the public library of texts. If I sort by new or hot, it should appear at the top. There you go. So now you can share that link with anyone, and anyone can enjoy this lovely little video that you've transcribed and synchronized. Okay, I hope that was useful.
The Encyclopedia Britannica.